and also about something that I've thought about quite a bit in the past, um, which is the evolution of the scorpion. This one specifically is about the new moon in Scorpio, and it has the underlying theme of the evolution of the scorpion. So here's the piece I'm working out. This is a concept I'm developing for a more detailed painting, but I also like it just in simple drawing form. I really like how you can focus on just the symbols when it's in black and white, whereas the colors bring us into the world of feelings. We go deeply into feelings as soon as we start looking at different colors, and they all sort of have their places that they can take us. So it's fun for me to just stick with the symbols. So I'll explain to you what's going on with this drawing. Can everybody see? Cool. So the evolution of the scorpion is starting here in the bottom with the scorpion. So this is what we could refer to as the unevolved Scorpio, which is, one way I think about that is simultaneously being really defensive or aggressive and sensitive at the same time. So that's a very hard energy for people to interact, because it's like being somebody who can dish it out, but they can't take it. You know, they'll lash out with great fury and aggression and hit people. You know, hit people where it hurts, because a scorpion has that deadly stinger. It's like a weapon that can quickly bring a human from life to death. So it's poison, and for us as humans, it's more like emotional poison. It's like hitting somebody where you really know it's gonna hurt. And the Scorpio, because they're so sensitive on the inside, will sort of, when they're unevolved, when they're young, when they have a lot of poison in their stinger, they'll lash out like that quickly and easily, and maybe not even know how hard it's hitting the people around them, how much it's affecting them. But what it creates is fear. It creates fear to be around you when you lash out with that kind of emotional intensity. People remember that for a long time. So what we have to realize, as sensitive people, is that you can't feel safe around somebody if you think that they're gonna lash out at you. You just can't. It's like we remember it for a really long period of time. So the Scorpio, if he or she is a thinking person, if they do self-analysis, they realize that they don't like that either. You know, if people lash out at them, they get really defensive, they get really hurt, and they hold it for a long time. Scorpio is a fixed water sign, which means the feelings, the emotions, the intuitions sometimes will stick. They'll stay how they were for a long time. So if we look at that and we think about it carefully, we realize that we don't like it. We don't like to be hit like that, and therefore we can't responsibly go around stinging other people. Right? So that's the unevolved scorpion. And what comes next is here, which is the phoenix. And so the phoenix has a lot of life, death, and rebirth symbols. They burn up. They literally light on fire. So it's fiery transformation that leads to rebirth, which means the old part of you has to die for the new part to be reborn. We rise from the ashes and we become a new creature. So in a Scorpio's life, you'll see patterns like this repeated on small scales and large scales, where a part of them has to die for them to move on to the next phase. there's a lot of intensity in this. There's a lot of intensity in the sign of Scorpio, because it also is the time where fall dies and it becomes winter. You know, the trees shed their leaves, the days become shorter and colder, the darkness sets in. Scorpio also represents the time when it goes from dusk, which is Libra, after the sun goes down but there's still light, is the Libra time, and then it transitions into night and the stars come out, and that's Scorpio time. There's a lot of wisdom in that darkness, because you can also see the bright lights, you can see the stars in that darkness. But that brings a lot of intensity, and sometimes it's hard to handle that energy. So that's the life, the death, and the rebirth that comes with the phoenix. And what is reborn from the phoenix is in the top here, is the eagle. This specifically is a golden eagle. But eagle is a very intense and powerful spirit animal, an intense symbol to have, but it's a little more evolved than the scorpion, you could say, because the eagle hunts, and it hunts for what it needs, and it gets it, and it sees it from a long way away, and it has this intense focus, this vision to go towards what it needs, and it swoops down very quickly, and it goes and it catches it, and it hunts to eat. The scorpion will lash out just for defense, self-defense. So there's a big difference in those two energies of hunting for food and lashing out for defense, especially when we look at them in the perspective of human characteristics. Another thing that the eagle represents is that they're the king of the skies. They're the apex predator in the air. So they see with an elevated perspective. They see a big picture, but they also have the focus, the intense focused energy, which is a Scorpio trademark, that can bring massive change. If you're able to focus on the same thing over the course of weeks and months and years, and really put your energy into it, really put your focus into it, that's how we make change. That's how we make big changes in the world. One of my favorite Scorpio role models, Scorpio influences, is Pablo Picasso. He was born just a couple days after me, a fellow artist. And honestly, his style isn't really my favorite. There are a bunch of other artists who I prefer their styles. But what I appreciate about him is that he made massive change with his art. He was able to really create a movement to change things with his paintings, to really have a big voice and a big influence in his life. So I admire that. I admire the intensity, and everybody said about Picasso that you could see it in his eyes. There was this magnetism, this intensity. That's a word that keeps coming up over and over again about Scorpio. And to go from here to here, from the scorpion to the eagle, what you need to do is you need to learn how to channel that intensity. You're going to have it either way. There's nothing you can do about it. But you can use it to lash out and to fight, and to kind of be in the desert, in the sand, or you can use it to rise up and to fly. So I think that's a really fun and beautiful metaphor to think about if you're a Scorpio. I think about it a lot. I'm actually a Libra, 29 degrees Libra, and I was born 1 hour and 20 minutes away from Scorpio. I have some planets in Scorpio, so I feel the influence, but also I was born on the day that is traditionally Scorpio. October 23rd, it switches from Libra to Scorpio in Western astrology. And so I thought for the first, 20-some years that I was Scorpio, until I really looked into my birth chart. It's also interesting to think about because I was a cesarean baby. So 1 hour and 20 minutes before Scorpio, brought me out, cut me out in a way. So that's interesting symbolism to think about. We're not here to go into my birth chart in great detail. I'm talking about the transition from the scorpion to the phoenix to the eagle. And so here in the new moon in the scorpion, we have the sun and the moon both together in that influence in that sign. And since the new moon represents transition, change, and new beginnings, it's especially powerful to be found in this sign of Scorpio that has so much of that transformation energy happening already. And so if I was going to zoom in onto that, the key word, the key point about that is that you have to let go. You have to let go of the past wounds and the past energies that are holding you back or holding you where you are in order to take flight. That's where we're at, and that's what's happening. Thanks for watching.